Hello everyone. In our today's lab, we are going to do the virtual machine installation by using VMware Workstation. As we have discussed earlier, that VMware Workstation is a type 2 hypervisor, which means it need to have a host OS present on it. So on the host operating system, we can install a new virtual machine which will work as a independent machine on it. So to do that, there are several ways to perform that task. First one is you can click on this create new virtual machine button, or you can go to file and then click on new virtual machine. So there are different ways to do the same task. So don't worry about it. There are different ways to perform the same task. So there is no particular method to perform a particular task. So first of all, no, the second option which is given, there are two options. First one is typical, second one is advanced. So what is the difference between typical setup and advanced setup? There is a slight difference. First of all, when we are using typical recommended settings, the virtual machine manager, like your VMware workstation, will automatically select that for a particular type of window, which you are Windows or operating system, whichever you are going to install, which is the best suitable setting for it. Like what size of the hardware is required, what type of version is it, it will automatically detect everything, and it will not require you to make any type of changes in it. So it will automatically select everything by itself. But when you are using a custom setting, so what it will do, it will ask you to add additional interfaces, and it will ask some additional information to you. So it is up to you whichever form of configuration you want to use. So in the first go, we will be using typical one. SCSI controllers, which are in the custom settings, they are used to store the additional data. Like if you are going to attach a array of disks with your computer, then you need SCSI controller. It is small computer system interconnect. Then there are three next options. First one is from where you are going to install it. So first one is install from disk installer. It means you need to have a disk drive for that, but in my system I'm not having a like place for CD or a DVD. That is why this thing is grayed out. Second is install the disk image from ISO file. Third one is that you are going to install the operating system later on. So you can select any one of them. So if you want to install the virtual machine right now, what is your requirement? You need to have a ISO file with you. So go to browse. These are some of the files which are given, but these are not the actual windows. So there is, please don't intermix with it with something, because its size is only 136. So this is not an actual window which is given. So you need to have a ISO file. So you need to look for it, and once you get, as I have given it in your folder, so you can download it from there if you are not having it. So after this, there is something known as easy install. This operating system will use easy install. Now if you want to know what is this easy install, it will simply don't require you to give any of the information, like you not to give the information about what type of setup you are going to do. So you need not to select anything, it will automatically perform the task. You will not need to touch your CPU once it is starting the installation. Whatever name you want to give to your windows, you will give it at the first place. Then what type of keyboard you want to configure, you can give that. What key which you want to give, so you will give everything at a single place, and then once it is started, your VMware will automatically input those values, and you need not to touch the computer to install something. This is an example. So Windows product key, if you have to input it here. What type of Windows you want to install? So there are four window types which are here: Home Basic, Home Professional, Home Premium, Professional, and Ultimate. So it is up to you. Whatever you want to install, you have to select that. What is the name of the Windows? Like in this case, I will give CHE427 password. I will give. So you can have any password for this. So login automatically or requires a password. So it is up to you whatsoever setting you want to do. Now, if you haven't uploaded or if you haven't given the product key, it will ask you that you must be doing this later on. Do you like to continue? You can press yes. If you have this, it is fine. Even if you skip this step without filling anything, it will work. Like you have to give the password and all, but it will work, no problem is there. After this, the name of virtual machine. So whatsoever name you give, in this case, if I give the name CSC427, so I can give that name. What it will do, it will store my virtual machine on the name of this. And where it will be stored? Users, my system name, documents, virtual machines, and then this is the name. If you want to change that location, you can do that just by clicking on browse, and you can change that location wherever you want. If you want to make a permanent change, you need to go to edit, then preferences. Then you can change this address permanently. It is generally used in those cases where your C drive is having very less space. Then the next is the disk capacity. So disk capacity you can have by default. There is 60 GB capacity which is available. So you can decrease it, you can increase it according to your requirement. The next thing which is quite important, that is how you want to store the virtual file. Whether you want to store it as a single file or you want to store it in multiple files. Now what does it mean? Whenever we are using a single file, your whole hard drive, like 60 GB of the hard drive which we are going to create, that will be stored inside a single file in documents folder. Whereas if you are using multiple files, there will be multiple number of files stored inside the system, and they will keep on increasing as you input the data. But if we are using a single file will be there and it will keep on increasing. Whereas in this, multiple files will be there. So when we talk about the multiple files, if if we do it with multiple files, what will happen? It will be easy to move, or you can say it will be easy to copy and paste, but from one system to another, but it will slow down your process. Your system will be very slow. Why? Because it will be creating an index that okay, this particular data is present in which file. Like there are 5 files, so it will need to search firstly that if I'm searching for this particular data out of the 5 files, in which file that data is, and then once it finds the data, then it will search that particular file. Whereas in single file, no index is required, it will do the task by itself, but it will be very difficult to move that file. Now just imagine there is a 60 GB of file, a single file, and you want to move it from one system to another. So to copy that 60 GB file, you need to make sure that there is no power failure in between, the network speed must be good, And secondly, downloading a larger file is a difficult task as compared to downloading some small files. So that is why you can choose any one of the options. So I will just let you know what is the difference. So firstly, I'm going to do it with the single file. Click next. Now, this is the virtual machine setup. Whatsoever changes you want to make, you can do. You can customize the hardware. If you want to change the RAM, you can change RAM. But the thing is, it must be up to a level which is less than the total RAM of your computer. Like in my system, I'm having 8 GB of RAM, so I can't move beyond 6.2 because it will allow me to go even beyond 6.2. But the problem will be then my host machine will not get the operating system, the RAM to operate. So that is why it is recommended to have 1 or 1.5 of RAM. So it is up to you. According to your system, you can select this size of your RAM. After that, how many processors do you want to have? So it depends like how many processors you want to allocate. Even though there are less, you can allocate more. But see, what is the problem? Because it is configured to use more virtual cores than the host support. What does it mean? Your hardware is not having those many processors which you are trying to use. Because my computer, I think maximum have two processors. Means two cores are there, not processors. So two processors, if I want to give, I can use that. Number of cores per processor, I think maximum are four, so you can use up to that. So it is up to you like how many you want to give. Then virtualize Intel VT or AMD V engine as well. Intel VT, and it is a hardware assisted virtualization. Virtualize CPU performance counters, virtualize input output memory management unit, so they are going to improve the performance of your computer. Then where you want, from where you are going to pick the ISO image, it is given. Network adapter, there are three different types of it. First one is bridged means it is connected directly with the physical network, which means that what if you are having internet working on your physical system, the same IP will be replicated for this machine as well. So what does it mean? You are, even if you are having a virtual machine, to the outside network it will be seen as a single machine. Why? Because your system will be having the same IP. Means the virtual machine which you are going to create will get the same IP as that of your physical network. Okay. In the case of NAT, so it is used to share the host's IP address. Means you will be having multiple number of IP addresses. In host only, a private network shared with the host. You will be having a private network, like your IP will be different from the IP which your host is having, but it will be having a shared network with it. So you can use NAT or you can use bridge according to your requirement. So these experiments we are going to do later on. So then we have LAN segments as well. Okay, so USB controller. So what type of compatibility do you want? 2.0 or 3.0? So it depends upon your system. Sound card automatically detected. Printer, it will be automatically detected. Display, it will be automatically detected. So if you want to add some additional hardware, then you can click on add. There are different platforms which sorry, hardwares which you can add. Like in this case we are not having any parallel port, so let us try to insert a parallel port. Add external port, click finish, so it will automatically add a parallel port. So this is a way to add a parallel port while you are installing a virtual machine. So then click on close, power on the virtual machine after creation. You can click OK if you want, then finish. So it will start creating the disk. Now, once this disk is created, once it is installing, I will just show you what is going to happen on the back end. So this is just a error, not a error, you can say it is just a warning that do you still want to connect? You will be saying yes. So now Windows is loading, so it is going to install the virtual machine. So we need not to worry about it. So these are just the hardwares which are working with our system. So we are having all those things. So let me just show you what is going to happen at the back. Documents, virtual machines, CSE427. This is the name of that virtual machine. So these are all the different files and folders which we have right now. See, NVRAM is non-volatile RAM which work as a BIOS of your computer or ROM as your computer. VMDK is the virtual machine disk file. You can check it here. This is the file in which all the data will be stored. Then VMSD, this is for snapshot. VMX, this is a type of your configuration file which we are going to have, which will be storing that what is the status and what is the configuration of that file where which you are using. So these are all the data. So in this case you can see there is a single vmdk file, which means we have created a virtual machine with a single file. So this is a single file, and this file is going to contain all the 60 GB of data from our machine at this place. So this is a single file configuration. If we have selected instead of a single file, if we have selected multiple files, then according to that this will change. So let us take an example. Till the time this is getting installed, I will create a new virtual machine and take a typical setup. Everything will be same. I will just not set up any name or anything for this. New, everything will remain same. I'm not going to change anything. I'll change this name to new. Next. Now, earlier we were using single file. Now we will be using a multiple file setup. So this is just a demo to you how it is going to make a difference. So let us see at the back. Here is a new file. So now you can see how many VMDK files are there. There are around 16 files. Whereas in the first one, whereas in the first one for GSC this, there was a single VMDK file. But now in the second, there are around 16 files there. So this is a split file configuration. You can see maximum size of 4 GB in a single file. So it will keep on expanding as we are going to add more data in the machine. So this is a difference between single file and split file configuration. So you can suspend or you can power off the virtual machine. Now this is the virtual machine which is actually installed. Now one more thing, if you want to remove this virtual machine, you are going to go here and remove, but it will not be removed from the disk. If you want, you can, this will not be deleted from the disk. Click remove. Now even if you have clicked remove, it will not be deleted from the disk. So how to delete it from the disk? You need to go to the same location, like in my case it is documents. This is the location, so you have to delete it from here. Shift delete. Now that machine will be deleted from this place. So it is deleted. Once it is done, this is the installation which is getting completed. So once it is done, your work is over. Now there is another type of way to create the virtual machine as we discussed earlier. So there is a custom installation. In custom, it is going to ask you for different additional things for it. So virtual machine, which virtual machine you are going to install, and what is your workstation compatibility. That's one. What are the limitations? So it will ask you several things. So this is the virtual machine which we are going to install. What is the name? This is just the name which I am giving. So here it is going to install. It is not required that you should name it in this way. It is up to you how you want to name. What kind of firmware you want to use? Do you want to use U BIOS or you want to use UEFI? So when we are using Windows up to Windows 7, we can use either one of them. But after Windows 8, if you are going to use Windows 10 or something, you need to enable UEFI. Number of processors, what is the RAM, which network you want to select, means everything is same which is given in your custom installation, but you can change it by yourself. But in this case, it will ask you firstly before installing anything. So which ISSCI controller you are going to use. So that is a small computer system interconnect. So it is just a controller which will help you to add additional drives with your computer. So what type of um, disk you want to create? Do you want SATA, SCSI, IDE, NVMe? So NVMe is like when you are having a option of creating a hard disk drive which is a solid state drive, so then you can create NVMe. In this case, you can choose either one of them, create a virtual machine disk or use an existing disk or use a physical disk. So it is up to you how you want to create it. If you are using a new virtual disk, you need to create one. If there is already any other disk which is configured by you, but you want to use the same disk in a new machine, so you can use this option. If you have a physical drive available and you want to use it as a virtual drive, then you can click the third option. So next is the same. You have to click on either split the disk into multiple files or use a single file, but you have one more option, that is allocate all disk space now, which means if 60 GB you have selected here and I click this option, all the 60 GB from my hard disk drive will be allocated to you at the first go. So we don't usually do this because it will consume a lot of hard disk drive space without any actual usage. We will not select that much, but if you want, you can. So the disk file name will be vmdk and then finish. Once it is done, you can see it will start installing the virtual machine. So this virtual machine is installed and this is done. One more thing which it will install, there is something known as VMware tools, so which are very important. So this is VMware tools. If it doesn't install by itself, you have to install it from your side. If it gets installed automatically, it is good. So VMware tools let you perform several tasks on your virtual machine, like shifting the Windows key or like using the keyboard drivers, taking a screenshot. Okay, So several things are there which will be performed with the help of VMware tools. So you need to make sure that your VMware tools are installed properly on your machine once it is started. So this is all about installing a virtual machine on your computer. If you want to stop this process, now one more thing. Once you are in the Windows, like if you are using it, you will not be able to return your mouse from there. What button or what like currently if I'm using this here, if you want to get out of it, you are not able to do it. Otherwise, what you can do is you have to click on Control plus Alt combined. Then you will be able to get out of it. Now, this is a machine which we are having, and if you want to check, you can see there is a computer with 60 GB of hard drive, DVD, and floppy disk, because floppy we have added by ourselves. So it is also having a task manager, which you can see 100% utilization it is showing, but it will get down automatically, or you can increase the number of chips for CPU, then it will automatically do the task, like it will reduce this CPU utilization. So this is all for the installation part. So we will do the rest of the things in the next class. Thank you everyone. Have a nice day.